everybody, this is Susan and this is my channel, Susan's Road Less Traveled. My trusty sidekick Sissy here tonight, and we're going to continue in our VW manual, How to Keep Your Volkswagen Alive by John Muir. Going to continue into chapter 6 as promised, called Flat Tire. So I want to preface this by saying, for 10 years of bus ownership, I've never had a flat tire. And I think back on that and I am amazed because of some of the roads that I've actually driven down and tried to maneuver, that I've been blessed enough not to end up in the backwoods somewhere in trouble that way. So I'm ready for this chapter. Are you? Let's get started. It may seem redundant to most of you to have a chapter on the lowly tire, but perhaps there are some who would like specific direction in this most common of road emergencies. I really hate to disagree with Volkswagen people, but the way they show how to change a wheel in their driver's instruction booklet just won't make it. I twisted one of the pressed lug wrenches into scrap trying to get one of the lugs off after an over-enthusiastic tire man with an impact wrench had put them on. I now carry a lug wrench made like a crank that you can kick down with your foot to loosen the lugs, and I also kick them tight. It's really more a stomping motion than a kick. Outside of that, their procedure of block the car on the other side, remove the hubcap with a big screwdriver, loosen the lugs before jacking, jack up the wheel so it's barely off the ground, remove the lugs in the wheel, then roll the spare wheel into place, find a lug that will start with the tire still on the ground and get one started, then jack just a bit more so the wheel can be rotated to get another lug started, tighten all the lugs all around, let the jack down and kick the lugs really tight will do the job. If you can't find a lug wrench made like a crank, and they are hard to find, then one of the cross type lug wrenches like they use in a tire shop is a necessity. Now, all you town and city people who drive your Volksies on the freeway and the highway all the time, close your ears, for I am going to talk about tubeless tires. Much of our driving in either the bus or the bug is done off the highway, on the desert, in the mountains, in Mexico on little traveled roads, and I want tubes in my tires. One of the first things I do in a new car is to put tubes in all around. The reason for this is twofold. With the tubes, I can fix my own tires if I happen to have 2 flats, or even 3. If you do a lot of off-the-highway driving, I recommend tubes in your tires. Backing off may be either a function of my getting older or of tires getting better. But I have driven a set of Michelin tubeless steel radials on my 71 bus for over 40,000 miles with a perfect record. No flats, and the kind of driving I am doing gets rougher. So I can say that I am happy with the new tubeless tires. But I bought a little rubber band shooter repair kit just in case I pick up a nail, which I've never used. There is no procedure herein for fixing tubeless tires, mostly because I don't know how, but the directions on the repair kit seem clear. The big problem is getting air into a tubeless after it has been put back onto the rim. A friend writes that a piece of nylon cord can be used like a tourniquet by wrapping it around the outside of the tire and twisting it with a big screwdriver to force the beads of the tire out against the rim so the air will start to fill the tire as the beads seal. He says to take the cord off as soon as the tire starts to accept air, when the bead seals to the rim. The same procedure for removing and replacing a tube type casing can be used for the tubeless type. I carry a type of air pump which screws into a spark plug hole and uses the impulse of the car piston to drive a small piston in the pump. It does not take air from the inside of the engine, but just uses the engine as power. It's called an Engineer. Costs about $5 and has a gauge built in to tell you the pressure in the tire. It is slow, but does a good job. With tube tires, a requirement is to carry a patch kit with patches and cement. Get the expensive type, which are all cut, ready to use. There is also a small vulcanizer on the market which uses heat to make the patch, but I have never tried it. Here is a short procedure which might be handy to break and repair a flat if you have the materials available and tubes in your tires. Procedure for repairing a tube-type tire, Phase 2. Condition: you have just had your second flat, and having the above available, you are about to fix your first tire. Tools and materials: Phase 2 toolkit. I'm just going to read the steps because this is too much. I'll have to read this on my own. Step 1 is breaking the bead, which he just talked about by winding this string around and wrapping it around the outside of the tire and twisting it. I didn't understand that. And this is saying fix the first flat if possible, but if the second flat is in better shape, then you have to change the wheel before you start. And if I have 2 flat tires at one time, I'm calling my insurance company and roadside assistance. Step 2 is pry off the tire bead. The wheel rim has a depression in the center and the bead must be worked into that before the tire will come off. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm not taking any tires off of rims. No. Susan is not taking tires off of rims. Step 3, remove the tube. Now the tire bead is entirely free of the rim and you can pull out the tube. Start at the valve stem by pushing the stem inward from its hole in the wheel. Then you can pull the tube out of the tire. Don't move the valve stem hole in the wheel in relation to the tire. When you get the tube out, lay the tire and wheel down. Oh boy. Step 4, locate hole. If you have the Engineer pump, you can take out the number 2 plug with a spark plug wrench and insert the pump and tighten it into the spark plug hole with the pliers. And use the valve stem tool to remove the valve stem core from the tube. And then you screw the fitting on the Engineer onto the valve stem and start the engine and the tube will fill with air. Well, that's a pretty nifty sounding gadget. But I'd be afraid to take a spark plug out of my distributor. Step 5, repair the tube. Lay the tube with the hole on a flat place where you can work using the scratcher in the tube repair kit or emery cloth or a file. Scratch the tube around the hole for a distance that will let the patch fit completely into the scratched or roughened area. I won't be doing that either. Step 6, find the nail or whatever in the tire. Lift the tire up a little so you can get your hand in and feel the object carefully so you don't cut yourself. It should be where you made the mark or about there. Pull it out with the pliers and check the rest of the inside of the tire carefully to see that that was the only one. Check the tube, start the engine and fill the tube again until it's about the size of the tire and check again for leaks. Spit on the area around the patch to make sure. If there are other leaks, patch them. But if the tube is okay and you have removed what caused the hole, you are ready to reassemble. Reassembly. Step 8. Lay the tire in a smooth place with no stones that might get caught between the tire and the rim. As soon as the valve stem is in the hole, screw the pump connection back onto the stem so you don't lose it. Then pack the tube carefully and smoothly into the tire. Oh my goodness. Replace the wheel and get moving. Well, that just all seems pretty simple. Fixing your own tires is purely an emergency measure, but if the price of fixing flats keeps going up, it might again become economically feasible. I used to fix a couple a year, but when I did, it was a flat-out emergency or I was broke. Tubeless tires. If your tires don't use tubes, the majority nowadays, and one of them develops a leak, you can buy a rubber band shooter repair kit in an auto parts store and fill the leak. One of the brand names of this stuff is Flat Tire. If shooting rubber bands into the leak doesn't work, do the procedure for the tube type tire to remove the tire from the wheel and take it to your nearest gas station to have it repaired. Well, they would just take the tire off the rim anyway. So I don't need to take the tire off the rim. It's a good idea to take it immediately so as to have a required tire in case of another flat. So I would summarize this chapter by saying, if you have a flat tire, call roadside assistance. Pop the top. Make yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and sit by the side of the road and wait for help. That's my advice. That concludes chapter 6. Chapter 7 is a long one because this is the main part of the, well, maybe not main part, but chapter 7 is engine stops or won't start and orientation. I'll see you next time.